Alright, first game of playing the all-new full-power Cherubimon. We're up against Digimon, which got a full new line in EX6 as well, so really exciting to see what we have right here. We are going second, so this hand is very keepable as well, just because we're mainly looking for Lopmon searches. You know, a tamer like Mimi is always fantastic, searching cards like Boosts and Double Typhoon. But anyways, we also mainly see our full line all the way up from 3, 4, 5 and all the way to 6 is actually really good for us here. So I decided to establish the Mimi as soon as possible. The earlier we have it, the better it is for us. And in this position, I just want to give my opponent as little memory to work with as possible, because I don't want to Digivolve in the back into a 5, because I want to utilize the new Antilomon's effect to let me play something out, which is why I decided to go for Wendigomon here and then give them the opponent as low to work with as possible. So then next turn, we can then decide if we want to sort of like climb up as we go. So they go into Lady Devi here, they get to draw in trash cards. That's really the whole idea. I think they're trying to set up as many Devimon names as possible in the trash, because I would assume they're playing like the promo Devimon, which lets them play Devimon back once it's deleted here. They go for Deathclaw, getting rid of our Wendigomon, which is totally fine, because here we can just Digivolve in the back a little bit. And really nicely, we found a agility training, which I was anticipating to Digivolve into the green purple Antila at the back instead. And then afterwards, the next turn we can come out right here like this, instead of, and then going into this newer Antilomon and more showcasing what we can do with it. Now, it's really important that we always make sure that we have a level 3, especially a Lopmon essentially, in our hand, that we can play off this Antilomon to go for the actual combos. This is fantastic because this immediately gives us online on our alliance combos right off the bat, and we can actually continue to combo off really effectively. I love this combo because we can utilize our on-play effects. Lopmon can search and grab us a piece off there by playing that, and here we can immediately just go for that alliance attack, draw with Kokomon, and we can actually use the Lopmon inheritable from the EX4. Because we allianced, we can actually Digivolve into Cherubi for effectively 1 cost, and Cherubi gets to play something out, which is the Wendigomon here, and then we get to pop the Lopmon with the Wendigo and play the Lopmon back from the trash, and then we get to search and cycle through another card all over again, and then we're going to go for 2 checks, essentially for a little bit of damage, not super high at the moment, but we're going to rack up more DP later on with some crazier combos. But here we get to check into at a pretty safe number, honestly, hitting into the Dandevi, giving them a wisdom training, which might be a little bit value for them because then they can climb up, but then we can all really end off with a Shu Yulin, not Shu Yulin, Shu Changwang, and then basically search, and then we can continue with some more combos later on too, and then we can kind of see how they do there. Sitting here with Cherubi, we're not overcommitting just yet, which is totally fine. We don't really need to use the Antilomon to return something suspended anyways, which we don't have, so then we can't play anything back out, which is okay as well. But we have really good resources in our hand overall. The only downside here at this particular position is we're not threatened with any aces. We don't, if they ever try to attack and try to like do some combos, we don't have anything to stop against them, because we want to sit there with a level 5, and then that we can sort of like tell the opponent, hey, we might have a Cherubi ace, which they probably saw us grab anyways, but at least we're telling them, hey, we might go into one if you ever decide to attack. But here they go for the combo, popping their own Lady Devi, and they have more than 7 Devimons in their name and their trash already, so they can bring out the Dan Devi out there and sit here with that body. They bring out the old one, which is kind of interesting. And the old one is still pretty good with the whole trashing effects and all that kind of stuff. They go for a Deathclaw, popping our Lopmon and try to board control, and we're basically forced to like pitch away cards. They also play like the Falcomon, I believe, like the Ravemon package inside, which is kind of has some decent synergy because it forces your opponent to trash more cards from their hand as well. But here we're in a pretty good position. I can see we can maybe even go for a explosive play to try to win the game, as a matter of fact, because with that we can go with Lopmon. Lopmon can give essentially alliance to Cherubi, and we can do it again as well. We're giving it basically double alliance. Cherubi itself has alliance as well, so then it's like triple alliancing. We get to Digivolve into Cherubi X for free, and then repeating the whole crazy nice combo again. We go for Cherubimon here, just to make sure that we can have a bit more DP buff here. We can go for Shu Changwang as well, suspending it to Digivolve. Shu Changwang basically does exactly the same thing as the export Lopmon, letting us Digivolve. And then we can Digivolve into this Wendigo, pop Lopmon, play another Lopmon to search, and then we go for triple alliance, triple checks, and then we swing for game so quickly, so powerful with this deck, which is absolutely insane when it comes to those combos. Alright, next game we're playing against Journey to the West, the Monkey King, and the Shakamon deck right here, which is really interesting as a new deck in EX6, and we'll see how this goes. We are going first, and with our opening hand, we don't really have searching cards, which are totally fine. We see a line to sort of climb up all the way to 3, 4, 5, and 6, so that's pretty much perfect there for us anyway. So we can kind of go for like going into Cherubimon and then just pass the opponent back to 2. The opponent tends to give us quite a lot of memory to work with because most of their cards are level 5 and they're going to be Digicrossing for 5 costs anyways. And here immediately when they present out a level 5, it's always our best interest in this matchup to try to get rid of it as soon as possible, because there's 2 things. Usually they can go into a Ace, Blast Ace, that's a level 6, probably one of the Angels kind of stuff, or they can preemptively go into a Venusmon the next turn, and this is why we sort of want to try to deal with it as soon as we can and try to get rid of their board, which is why I love going into the brand new Antilamon. Antilamon's going to play out the Lopmon X, then can go for Alliance, attacking into the security, and then because we alliance with the Lopmon from EX4, we can actually Digivolve into Cherubi Ace for effectively only 1 cost because we reduced the cost by 2. Cherubi Ace is going to play another body, which is going to Lopmon, going to search, and then we go for 2 checks. And unfortunately, the whole idea was to choke the opponent down to 1 to give them as little memory as possible, but we ran into TK and they decided to grab a Heaven's Judgment, which is kind of interesting. I kind of think they believe that by grabbing that card preemptively, they can probably, you know, board clear widely against us. And you can see they went for a Blinding Ray, and yeah, that's an exact example of how they were able to clear the board entirely. Also, if you guys didn't notice, I actually utilized the Antilamon's effect at the end of attack to return my Lopmon X back to hand and play it back out, which is why it turned out to be unsuspended afterwards. But honestly, I should have returned it to my hand, especially knowing that they grabbed Heaven's Judgment, knowing that the board clear was about to happen as well, which really could have screwed us. And we got really lucky as we top decked into this starter deck Lopmon, which helps us to climb and sort of start our plays and engine going all over again, and we can set up all over again, because otherwise it would probably have been pretty doomed for us, as we're gonna have to sort of top deck a rookie bit by bit. Yeah, that's not in a position. So critically speaking, the slight optimal play was to basically grab the Lopmon X at least so we can start Digivolving the back if we weren't able to find it from topping deck, and we kind of got lucky for sure. Looks like the opponent is kind of breaking a little bit. This deck that they're playing does tend to have like fewer cards in their hand, because as they're Digicrossing, they don't really get to draw a lot as compared to most decks. So they went for the Uko and then just hard pass us to 3, and we're going to repeat the exact same combo. One of my favorite ones is always to play out Lopmon from Attila so I can actually search and go for maximizing efficiency and sort of like find as many pieces as possible. And here we're back in sort of a similar position, but they have a wider body, and I know we have to deal with the board because the next turn they can swing for lethal with 4 attacks, so we have to take out one of their Digimon. I'm going to take out the Sagomon just because I feel like Sagomon, when we attack into their level 5s, or when they ever would like sort of get deleted or removed, they can always grab one of the Digicross sources back, and Sagomon can counter us a little bit because Sagomon can actually stun our Shuchong Wand, preventing us from sort of like reducing our Digivolution cost, which is exactly what we want to try to do right here. So I'm contemplating if I should go into Cherubi Ace or do I want to go into regular Cherubi, and decided to go for regular Cherubi in the end because there's going to be a follow-up play in the later turn. It's going to be really cool. Cherubi is going to play out Wendigo. Wendigo is going to delete my own Lopmon. Of course, I had done all the alliance combos first, and then I can play out the Lopmon again and continue to search, which I love this combo with the synergy of the purple stuff alongside with this whole green deck as I'm stack building and doing all that combo would be really cool. Here, opponent attempted to Heaven's Judgment us, but then we kind of realized that they actually don't have enough DP reduction to go over us, thanks to having that other Lopmon this time, which gives us extra 1000 DP. All turns while we're suspended. So here they're gonna swing for Typhoon, and little did they know, you guys may have not noticed this either, but Cherubi Ace can actually Digivolve on top of purple Cherubimon specifically for 1 cost. With that 1 cost of the alternative Digivolution requirement, meaning we can actually blast Digivolve on top of it. Kind of like how Mega Gargomon Ace works, which is kind of really interesting here, and we get to actually effectively clear their board because we get to play another Wendigomon, and Wendigomon doesn't necessarily have to delete our own level 3. We can delete their level 3, which was their Typhoon, and then we DP reduce the rest of their other Gokumon out there, and then it's basically out. And then here they have to hard slam a Shakamon, and Shakamon is going to give us blanket -1 security on the board, but we do have a lot of memory to work with. There's actually an easy winning formula against this deck. Generally against other matchups, this deck can just shut down the entire turn, but because the fact that we have Alliance, we can actually utilize it to rack up our security +1 to go over the security minus effect that we got right here. So that's why I use Double Typhoon to play out that Lopmon, because Lopmon can provide us extra Alliance. I'm going to go for Cherubi to attack as well, and then Cherubi X Digivolving into it to play out another body. We can go for Trey right here, which has on play suspending their Digimon, and we effectively double Alliance here with a massive ton of DP to go for 2 checks, taking out the security. Basically, playing over the security -1. Here we try to swing for a game, but we have to actually Digivolve into another Digimon with Alliance, so we go into this Antila and we can swing and finish it off. Okay, so for this game, we're gonna try to up the challenge, and we are gonna try to take on against one of the stronger decks, definitely hype decks of the format, Magna X right here. With our opening hand, you guys can see there's kind of not two of the greatest cards that we can really sort of utilize, because there is Shu Chang Wang, but that's the only card we could really play. Even going second, we kind of have to rely on what we top deck there. That's just kind of a little bit too risky. Therefore, I just kind of went for the mulligan, and this looks a little bit better. Not the greatest either. I can kind of see the worst case happening where we Digivolve and we just don't find a piece, especially if we drew into Cherubi Ace here. So thankfully, luckily as well, we managed to find a Wendigo, and then from Wendigo we managed to find Antila, and we have to build a slightly suboptimal stack at the back, but that's still okay. At least it's still somewhat playable, because we can at least start ramping up and start trying to do some combos. Ideally, like I mentioned before throughout the game, you know, having some searching pieces and cards that can help us set up a little bit with tamers as well would be really helpful. And otherwise, we want to see more of a optimal line. So I see the Magnamon here, and I feel like I really need to get rid of it, but I can't really get rid of it because it just has like quite a bit of DP. So the only thing I can really remove is the Vmon right there. And it would have been nicer if we were able to access our yellow-green Antilamon a bit earlier. Then we could have played an extra body, and then with that extra body, Cherubi Ace could have actually took out the whole 8 DP against the entire Magna, and then we wouldn't be in this kind of position. So you guys can see they can still very easily and quickly go into Magna X, no problem. And we're here back in this scenario trying to see how we can actually really play around it. There are actually ways. The opening windows and gaps of Magna X in this matchup is to actually try to go into Cherubi Ace when they attack. And then when they do this, and when they disrespect Cherubi Ace, you can DP reduce them. And you also want to try to go as wide as possible at the same time to ensure that you can minus it by effectively 12k DP by having 3 other bodies, or even at least 4 that you can minus 16 on it. So then you make sure that once their immunity passes over back to their turn, you immediately just get rid of the entire stack, which is going to be really good. But either way here, we weren't able to go wide enough, and we just go for the Alliance combo anyways, and try to take opportunity to try to apply pressure and check their security back at them, just because we also have another outage wave where it's our DP are much higher and can climb higher and become stronger. This is one of the nice things by having the purple Antilamon and the purple Wendigomon, where we can grab stuff back from our trash, which we can utilize, which they chipped away from our security early on, and then we just have to pass it back to them with 3 with Double Typhoon here. But we can threaten another Cherubi Ace, but unfortunately it's not going to help us go wide enough to actually DP reduce their Magna X before so having that extra body really matters, and is really crucial in this deck. In hindsight, we could argue that I could have went for an even more all-out aggressive play, where I could not Digivolve the Lopmon back into the back, Digivolve into the yellow Antila. Antila is going to play out that Lopmon, then we might have an extra body to sort of work with from there, and then we hoping to draw into our other pieces. However, at that time, I kind of felt it was kind of gambly. We weren't entirely sure to see it, but these are some things that I was sort of learning when I was playing this deck. You might actually have to gamble for the pieces that you have to find, because it is kind of piece reliant. It is stack building after all. So here in this particular position, we just have to go for a Blast Ace. I just felt like having to establish a body and not try to lose momentum is crucial, which maybe I shouldn't have Blast Ace there, because maybe it wasn't necessary. I could have just saved it when I'm ready to go wide as well afterwards, because now our opponents are able to swing over our stack, gain Ace Overflow, even play a Zoodle right here and strip sources and bounce us off anyways. And they even end with a Magna X, but the Magna X doesn't have protection. It doesn't have any armor underneath it, which is actually still fine because them putting us at this 1 memory really stops us from able to proceed any further. We're kind of lucky that we might have a line of play because I can see we have HPD and that's something we're gonna have to utilize. And I know for sure at this point, like if we don't do anything about their board, we're pretty much finished by the end of their next turn because they have, you know, the Vmon to come out to swing. Magna X can still swing twice that they have, and that stacks. There is one stack that has immunity, even though the stack that doesn't have immunity can still unsuspend regardless there. So that's a lot of swings that we can't really defend ourselves. That's one of the downsides of Cherubimon deck as well. There's not really a whole lot of defense aside from Cherubimon Ace. Usually in this particular build I'm going for. I don't really have blockers, we don't really have any other countermeasures. It's really just about like go wide, combo off, and try to attack as much as possible. So I went to Cherubimon here, and I was debating, yeah, I could Heaven's Judgment to sort of DP reduce that Magna that doesn't have protection, and then we can kind of sit from there. But we're going to pass them to a lot of memory. We're going to give them 6 essentially. Even with Ace Overflow, they're still going to go back to 3, and they can easily still go into another Magna with the Vmon from the back and then try to swing out and defeat us from there. Or maybe the other line of play I really should have done here is, instead of going into Cherubi X, maybe we could have went into a level 5 to threaten another Cherubi Ace on the board and see how they react from there, since we established a somewhat wide enough board to maybe try and hopefully counter them as well. But here I thought for Cherubi X, maybe I could just at least deal with that other Magna X there, but I kind of completely forgot Armor Purge actually still exists for this card no matter what. And at this moment I'm just like, oh, okay, well, I guess that's kind of what it is. So maybe those few turns I could have played a little bit more optimally, but it is kind of difficult and hard because we weren't able to see exactly the line of pieces right immediately when we sort of needed them. But anyways, here they go into Magna, they strip source by stripping the Cherubi Ace underneath our Cherubi X. They get to gain Ace Overflow back here and bounce a body as well. They can kind of play around, they can actually go for a safer route, or they can even just swing out against us. They really just need to play around any bombs that we might have from security at this moment. And really, I think they could just easily just continue to attack, and again, there's just nothing we can do. So they swing over with Zoodle Ace, Magna X attacks, Magna attacks, and they basically got the game. Make sure to grab your very own copy of the Cloudy Twins playmat on the AVAULTstore.com right now. As always, thank you so much for watching. You guys have a great day, great night, wherever you are. See you in the next video. It is AVAULT signing out.